welcome to the virtual edition of our year-round member screening series, Film Independent Presents, and this Q&A for Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs Maisel. My name is Jen Wilson, and I'm a senior programmer here at Film Independent. Thank you to Film Independent Presents' lead sponsor, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. The HFPA has been an ardent supporter of this program for many years, and we're so thankful for their support. Thank you to our new virtual screenings partner, Vision Media. Make sure to check out Film Independent calendar at filmindependent.org to see what virtual screenings we have coming up. Now, please welcome today's moderator, Karen Peterson. Karen is an assistant editor at Award Circuit, a podcaster, and a board member at the Hollywood Critics Association. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to have you here to talk about The Marvelous Mrs Maisel, which has 20 Emmy nominations this year, adding to its running total. So it's now at 54 nominations with 16 wins in its first 3 years. And it's just going to keep adding more. So I'm really excited to introduce our panel today of amazing artisans. I'm not sure how everybody appears on your screens, so I'm just going to go in the order how I see them. And that is Bill Groom, production designer, Kate Sanford, editor, Tim Streeto, editor, Tom Mizer, original music and lyrics, and Curtis Moore, also original music and lyrics. Our costume designer, Donna Zakowska, choreographer, Marguerite Derricks, production sound mixer, Mathew Price, supervising sound editor, Ron Bochar. And did I get everybody? I think I got everybody. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
All right.
Great.
Good to be here. It's good to see everyone.
Yes, definitely. Miss everyone too.
When's the last time you were all in a room together?
What, almost a year ago, right?
Yeah.
March.
November?
Like the premiere or something, yeah.
The premiere,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think January maybe. No, December. That was,
December, right?
I
Yeah.
think Bill and I in March, we saw each other in March, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that you can't be in person for this, but at least we could all be together in spirit and virtually through the wonders of the internet. I'm really excited to talk with all of you today. I'd like to congratulate you all on your Emmy nominations. It's such a great show that has really just captured the attention of audiences of the TV Academy. And so I want to throw out the first question kind of to everybody, and we'll go in order, some kind of order, we'll figure it out. But for you, what has this been like, getting to be part of The Marvelous Mrs Maisel and part of this show that really has just been such a huge hit with people? Let's start with Tom.
Oh, geez. Well, for Curtis and I, the amazing thing is we joined the third season. So we were fans of the show, and to be thrust in with what we called the A-team was both daunting and exciting because they really are the best in the business. And we knew that. And so getting to join them, we knew we had to lift our game, but it was a joy to be around, and we got to be around them the whole time, which was a surprise. We weren't just writing songs, but we got to actually be on set the whole time and work with everybody, which was an education.
How about you, Curtis?
I mean, I have to second that. We just, we have been working with Amy on another project, a theater project, and that's kind of where we are from, but we're from the theater world. But then to be asked to kind of come into this incredible group, it was daunting, but then immediately everyone it was like a big family. And it's been such like that since we've been part of it. I can't speak more highly of this group of people. They're just fantastic, and I love everyone.
How about you, Donna?
Well, I think, it's been great to be on a project where there's a really high standard, visually, in terms of my collaboration with Bill, in terms of David. So, it's sort of great from that point of view. It's really and it's also like doing about 10 movies at once. And that's sort of the quality level that we, tried to capture in the series.
And Bill, how about you?
It's been great. It's Donna and I've talked in the past of just about how, and I think it's true of all of us, we're just sort of all, I hate to use this term, on the same page, but we're all kind of bringing to it the same kind of approach to the show, I think, and that's been really helpful. It hasn't been it's a struggle to get the work done because it's a huge amount of work to do in a short period of time for every episode. But in terms of sort of creating the look of the show, at least on mine with Donna and David, and then I love to pop in and watch Kate and Tim working as they edit the thing. It's been a great experience. Yeah.
Kate, how about you?
Yeah, it's really fun. I mean, someone already said it's like a family, and it really is. And it's really a lot of fun to all be together at Steiner Studios in Brooklyn because, yeah, Bill could come in and take a look at something, and David Mullen can wander in and talk about what happened the day before. And yeah, I feel like we're all collaborating at a very high level, and it's really fun to work again with Tim. He and I have been working together for almost 10 years on multiple projects before this, and this was something really different we decided to go for, and it's really fun. It's really exhilarating.
Tim, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just feeling part of this team, just getting to know the other members of the crew and see them at work. As you know, as Bill said, having them come in and sit with us has been really great. Dan and Amy definitely encourage that. So, you know, as it goes on into, you know, subsequent seasons, you really start to feel like everyone's in sync with one another in a way that's different than a feature film or even like the first season of the series.
Marguerite.
For me, it's so exciting because I am usually in my little black box creating the choreography, and I am always so geeked up about going to set to see what Donna and David and like all of the creatives coming together in this collaboration. It's always such a magical day walking on the set and just seeing everything come together.
Mathew?
It's a great job. It's one of my favorite jobs ever. I know that we've all been doing this long enough, which means that we've done a lot of not so great jobs. So when we land on something as prime as this, it's exciting. You know, as a production sound mixer, I have to listen to all the words, and every word is just it's like a diamond in the, you know, as we do it, and all the music just makes it phenomenal. It's so much fun to work on, and the set is great. You know, Amy and Rachel and Dan, and I'm very happy to be here.
How about you, Ron?
Well, I've been with it since the pilot, and I'm the back end of everybody's work. I get it at the very end. I have to package it together, make sure you hear everything, and you know, put the music in and just finish it all up. And for me, it's like every episode gets more and more complex. And we have to still produce the exact thing that we did from the very beginning of the series by the end of the series. And it's always a challenge. It's like a puzzle. But it's a puzzle of like the best creative pieces clicking together. It's great. It's easily one of the best things I've ever been part of.
Absolutely.
So awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of that. I'd like to start with the look of the show, which is very specific. And so Bill and Donna, I'd like to talk with both of you about how do you work together to achieve the right balance of colors, the right palettes, the right look of everything, and get it to work together.
I'm going to let Bill start with that one.
Okay.
I have a standard joke I tell, which is that we do it by not talking to each other. I think I was on a small panel with Tony Shalhoub, and the same question came up. We talked a little bit about it. And I think what Tony, the way he phrased it, was that it's a collaboration of shared sensibilities, I think. It's, I think we're just, for some reason, we've all come together, and I often say, and I've been asked this question a couple of times, that it's on the page. It's, we're all reading the same scripts, and it's not like Amy and Dan are saying this room is pink and that room is blue and whatever, but the tone of the show is in the writing, and I think it becomes easy to sort of express that in our own different areas and departments. And Donna and I are so often surprised that we'll walk into a set and she'll bring the actors in with the wardrobe, and everything is so well coordinated, and we haven't talked at all about it. I mean, we do talk when things are complicated and we need to, but because that's our job. But it's just so often there without much fuss.
But I do think, and I think this is very true, that we have a very similar color sensibility. Because I never feel when I walk on the set like, oh, I hate that orange, or wow, what is that blue doing there? I think that is instinctual. That's sort of who you are as an artist. And I think, instinctively, I do think that Bill and I have a very, very similar color sense. And it's in a lot of ways, when you have that, you don't really have to talk that much, because you're all sort of reading the page and understanding it, and then you're interpreting it through your artistic and visual, proclivities and what you love. And somehow I do think we're very similar page in terms of what we like and the way we see color. And that is definitely not always the case, so I think it's just an instinct.
There was Donna and I had never worked together before before the pilot. But on the pilot, I had more stuff up on the walls than I do now in terms of color swatches and sketches and things like that. And Donna did too. She had a lot to look at. And we were back and forth. I had to walk through Donna's wardrobe department to get to the art department in the pilot. So, we were very aware of what we were each doing, and we just moved forward with that, I think. And the decades help us, the years, not, we're going from the 50s to the 60s. 60s are bound to be a little different. We haven't talked too much about it, but
no, we should.
Yes, we should. I've been speaking in some 60s colors already, and so is Donna. So it's working.
Marguerite, can you talk a little bit about your work this season in the choreography that you did?
Yeah, Amy gave me from every style almost possible for a choreographer to put on film this year. And she called me a couple of months before we started to kind of give me a heads up with what was coming. So I was able to start to do the research. And what I'd like to do is go back and look at the choreography from, the proper time period, and then heighten it just to make it a little more exciting. But, we did tap this year and Cuban and, the synchronized swimming and, a beautiful jazz piece that this Regine performed at the Apollo. So it was really fun. I got to do a lot of different styles of dance this season, and they were quite big. And I just remember the opening tap sequence in episode 1 of the 3rd season. I was on an airplane with Amy and kept coming to my seat, and we were talking about how we were going to shoot the number. And that's the thing I think I love the most about Maisel is that Amy and Dan, I know exactly how the camera is going to move before I start to create the choreography. So it's this beautiful pas de deux between the camera and the dance or the movement. And it just makes it really super fun.
Tom and Curtis, I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about your original song, One Less Angel. Can you talk about how you worked together to write that song and what it was like to get to be part of the process?
Well, sure. I mean, I'll start a little bit. I just have to dovetail a little bit on Marguerite, because one of our favorite experiences was right after we wrote this song, One Less Angel, literally maybe 3 days later after we'd submitted it with my demo, Amy texted us a video of Marguerite's choreography. They'd already choreographed the dance. And it was I was like, wait, it's still hot off the press. It's a demo of me singing it and Leroy's lip syncing it out. It was a very funny, that's when Tom and I were both like, oh, okay, this is really happening. Here we go. But
the great thing is that the opportunity that Amy and Dan gave us was not just to write a song, but to create a world. We sort of looked at it as, if you don't believe that Shai Baldwin and his backup singers are real, then the story falls apart. If you don't believe this is a real pop star, then you're always going to feel something's wrong. So we had to create these songs that would absolutely make you believe right away that this guy was real. And then the hardest part is that they're going to sit alongside the amazing existing songs that they always use on the show. So it was threading that needle of making it feel fresh and new, but also like they would sit next to those original songs. And
yeah. So we basically, when Amy first asked us to do it, she said, I need a hit song for Shy Baldwin, which is an easy task. And then she also asked about the Silver Bell. She wanted a number for them. So Tom and I actually wrote about 7 or 8 songs that first weekend, so that, because we wanted to find out, we didn't know exactly which. She had said that she wanted something in between Sam Cooke and Johnny Mathis, but that's like an enormous, range. So we were just trying to find, we knew we were going to write more for him, which we did later in the season. And we also knew we wanted to create songs. We come from a theater background that sort of will tell a really good arc of his story. So yeah, we wanted to write a pop song, but we also wanted to write it so it's a little bit also talking about what's literally happening in the plot. We're meeting him for the first time. We want him to feel elevated. So we literally are talking about angels. And, that was kind of the sort of goal with setting that up.
Kate and Tim, how do you two work together to really make sure that the show, that everybody's putting the best, I guess that you're using the best pieces, because there's so many amazing things, and I'm sure there's a million jokes that work well and a million shots that are just perfect. How do you work together to get everything just right?
Well, I think, first of all, Kate and I usually alternate episodes. This season, we actually shared credit on the finale. But normally we alternate episodes, but we've worked together for many years on a bunch of different shows. Our rooms are right next to each other. We talk all day about what we're doing. We show each other stuff all day, what we're doing. And we've always done that. So we're always sort of coordinating, I think, the sort of grammar we're working with. In terms of like what we think is the funniest, it's just all about that first reaction. When we watch dailies, we watch everything very carefully, in a completely, no distractions. And I always make careful note of what, certainly with the funny bits, what makes me laugh on that initial watch. And then, we're also paying very close attention to the sort of execution of everything, camera, sound, everything. But in terms of performance, in terms of the feel of the show, it's very much like that first impression. Because after that, we watch it a million times, and that all goes away, and everything gets fine tuned to death. So that's an important moment.
Kate, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that Tim and I have been working together for so long, so we're really comfortable going in and out of each other's rooms. And I always say, everything always looks better in the other room, so I get a little bit stuck and I go over there. And, and sometimes, also we inspire each other. So if Tim's, cutting together a montage and using kind of bits of percussive instrumentation as a strategy, then I'll look at that and go, oh, that's a great idea. And then I'll go and take that. I'll steal that idea and I'll go in my room and kind of work it, and we'll go back and forth like that. So we'll kind of, make sure that the grammar of the show is consistent that way. And, and then we work closely with Amy and Dan to hone everything. So we do what we think is really funny and cool first, and then we work closely with them, and they scrutinize every frame, and we're really close collaborators. And I'd also say, not only do we, note what we think is funny, but we also really know what we think is true and emotional. And I think that the show's, it's got to be grounded in real feeling. It can't just be fanciful and, just a whirlwind of beautiful fun, which it is, but it also has to stop at some points and be really real. And I think that's what makes all the heart in it, and that's what makes it really work for me. And the finale was very dramatic, and a little bit of a departure in that way, but that's why it was so great to work on. And that I'm glad that the two of us had a chance to collaborate on it as well. Because usually, we alternate episodes.
Mathew and Ron, can you talk a little bit about your work in bringing all the sound together with balancing dialogue and music and all of the components of it?
Ron?
You start, Matt.
Well, I try to bring as much of the performance as possible to our post-production people, especially Ron. I'm trying to capture performance as clean as possible, because without their voices, with all the words that we speak, you just don't have a performance. Of course, I am biased. The look of the show is beautiful. But we work really hard at it, and we read the scripts very carefully because they're very complex. And every time we get a new script, we always go, okay, what are we in for now? And season 3 was just up the ante tremendously. We started with the USO with 800 background. We had an 8-minute or so single camera shot. And those oneers, as we call them, is probably the most challenging thing for me as a location mixer, a production mixer, because the camera never stops. We have people going in and out of rooms. It requires every technique we possibly have to get it as punchy and clean as possible. And then there's all the music. Most of the time, most shows, they will actually take musicians into a studio and then bring the tracks back to the set and play back. But of course, Amy wants to do everything live, which just makes things more complicated. While the camera's filming in the Playboy After Dark, Miami After Dark segment, we had a live jazz combo. The Apollo, we had a full big band with tap dancers, and it's phenomenal. The challenge is extraordinary and so much fun.
So my job is to make sure at the end, after we add backgrounds, music, and everything else, that you can still hear those words. And those scripts are about, 100 pages? And the shows are 55 minutes. And there's nothing really deleted from the scripts. So it's a lot of very fast talk. And yeah, and we have to keep it as active as we can. The challenge has always been from the very get-go when Amy said she didn't want it to sound like a regular TV show. She wanted each episode to sound like a movie, to sound very much alive and very active. So we've had to kind of be true to that initial challenge with all that dialogue going on. And this season it's worked its way into the musical numbers as well, where we've had to create this environment that wherever you are in a room, that music that you're hearing sounds like it's coming from where it's coming from, to always give it that grounding in reality. And that's, I mean, it like I say, every episode they up it. So.
You've all done such amazing work this season. I want to go around the room again, so to speak, and I would like each of you to just say one of your favorite pieces to work on, whether it was specifically, Donna, in your case, a costume, or working on sound, or whatever it was. So let's start with Bill.
I think my favorite set of the season is Joel's club that he finds in Chinatown and turns into a club. So I don't know why. It's just, and I usually don't have a favorite. I'll never answer that question, but in this particular season, I think that was my favorite. It was my favorite to work on, and I like it on screen. So,
Donna?
Well, I love doing the Cuban Club. That was sort of fun because it was really a combination of, you know, real, slightly real period clothes, but also imaginative clothes. And then also the dancers were fantastic. I mean, one thing I want to mention is that Marguerite is incredible at doing these dances quickly. Coming from a dance background, I have no idea how you do it, but she's pretty amazing. So just want to throw that in.
She is amazing. Marguerite, you're next.
Born, but I guess I'd say the Apollo, and you know, I Need a Woman was like just a dream come true for me. The song was so, I knew it was like such a driving force for the story. And then to be able to, work with Ray Genet, who Amy Sherman-Palladino and I found on Bunheads. And we, at the beginning of the season, Amy said, we got to find a place for Ray Ray. And so she kind of specifically wrote that for her. So that was kind of thrilling for me to be back in the Apollo, just on that set with that gorgeous song. So I think the Apollo stuff was my favorite.
And speaking of songs, Tom and Curtis. Tom first.
I was going to say that for me, it was the moment of doing No One Has to Know in the 6th episode. It's sort of the dramatic arc, and Amy trusted that the story could land with a song, that the whole climax of the story could end with an original song, which is rare in this world in TV to give it that sort of weight. And so filming it was very emotional, and I'll never forget Amy we got to be on set and be a part and talk to the actors and work with the actors all the time. And she pulled me up beside her by the camera while they were shooting that number and said, you did this. And I know we didn't, we did it with all these people, but it was such a wonderful, warm moment. I'll never forget it.
Beautiful.
Curtis? You're muted.
You're muted, Curtis.
Sorry, because I make too much noise.
Always gotta be one.
I just talk too much. No, I have to. I would go back to episode 1. For me, when we got to set, that first week of shooting was insane. We walked into this hangar on Long Island, and there's like 1,000 people. There were 800 extras and crew, and it was
1,000. I really want to clear that up. 1,000.
I mean, yeah. What did I say? Yeah, it was a lot of people, and it was one of the best moments. Was toward the end of the day. We've been shooting One Less Angel and Bottle of Pop. During one of the stop times between when they were shooting, the entire group of extras just started singing the song, as if it was a big hit. So they pulled us out on stage and turned the cameras around actually and started filming the extras singing the song. And I don't know if that was ever intentional or whatever, but it's such a fun part of that moment because it really helps heighten. When you watch it back, you're seeing all these people sing along as if this song is a huge hit. And it was just, for us personally, it was a magic moment, but it also was so great for that moment in the story to be like, oh, this is Shy Baldwin's full release. And that to me was really exciting. Plus all the choreography and this watching everyone at the top of their game in that moment with everything happening was just incredible. It's an incredible day of shooting.
Kate, how about you?
I would say Midge's stand-up, both in episode 6, where she's in front of her parents, and then Shy Baldwin comes on stage and sings, and Rose goes crazy. And then the whole run, the whole second half of the last episode that takes place in the Apollo on stage with all the performances, tap dancing, Mom's Mabley, played by Wanda Sykes, was incredible. And then Midge getting on stage and backstage with Reggie. I just feel like that whole run was just magic to put together. And it's great because it's not just stand-up and it's not just performance, it's character. And the stand-up is definitely part of the story. It's not an aside, it's not just a bit, it's plot and it's drama. So that was just really cool.
Tim?
I have 2. I mean, I think the whole back half of episode 5, which is Midge and Lenny's sort of trippy Miami date, where they go to Miami after dark, to the Cuban club, and then back to Lenny's hotel. That had a really different feel than the show usually had. There was just like great chemistry between Luke and Rachel there, and I just felt like everything was executed so brilliantly in that whole section. And that was really interesting. And Amy and I when we were working on it, really felt that it was this weird fever dream, and we really liked that. And then the whole arc of Susie and Sophie Lennon doing Miss Julie was a blast. It was just, and especially the culmination of that. It felt like a real Broadway play. It seemed like it was going to go okay at first, and then as it starts to kind of go off the rails, it was just so brilliant. Jane Lynch was amazing. Alex was great as always, but that every scene involving Sophie and Susie just cracked me up.
Mathew, what about you?
It's really hard to pick one. Really is. I find the scenes that are the most challenging, and of course the scenes with the most music, I find to be the most fun to work on set, because we get to work with Leroy, who plays Shy, and of course when Darius DeHaas, who voices Shy, is on set, he's just a joy to be around. I do love stuff from season 2. The initial dance was really big for us. The Catskill stuff was fun, but in season 3, I like episode 5 the best. The Miami After Dark was a lot of fun to get to do a live jazz combo, and they didn't want to see any of the microphones, so we had a real challenge where we had to hide everything and still make it sound like the real deal, working with the dialogue so that it doesn't overlap, and it was a wonderful choreography and this huge, long, single camera shot, and that was my top. And the Apollo stuff, of course, as well.
So great. How about you, Ron?
It's more the dynamics for me. It's those moments where Midge gets quiet on the set or quiet on the stage, where she walks out, let's say, and there's that pregnant pause. It's almost like the areas where she's bombing become almost more poignant, at least for me from a sound end, because we have to earn the quiet. We have to earn the discomfort. And again, that's with a lot of guidance of Amy to be able to pull that off. So those moments in every episode and every season are big payoffs for me. And probably from season 3, the beginning of episode 7, with the whole Midge doing commercials, that entire little arc there with the drums is just, I love it.
That's great.
We do have a few questions from the audience, and I'd like to remind everyone who is watching that if you have a question you'd like to submit, just hit the Q&A and type in your question. The first one is from Noah. Pacing is so important to the show. This question is for everyone. How do you, in your position, help keep the pace where it is, and what is it like working with such fast-paced dialogue?
It's a good question.
Kate and Tim, why don't you guys start off with that?
Okay, I can start. My first episode was the one that followed the pilot, so I had the pilot as a guide. I knew it was supposed to be fast, but the very first scene I put together was a series of one-ers where a Steadicam is following Midge through her apartment and then her parents' apartment, back and forth. And I put it together, and there weren't too many cuts in it. And I brought it to Amy, and she had one comment, and she said, "Faster." And that's kind of been my guiding principle. It's like, no matter how fast I put it together, no matter how fast I feel like I'm cutting it, it needs to be faster. And it's really hard to do that the first pass. You know, we really try. I actually cut with waveforms showing in my timeline in the Avid, so that I can just get right into each modulation. But even so, you know, it's challenging to keep it very fast and not make it choppy. Right? And we don't want to feel like we're ping-ponging back and forth. So it takes a certain kind of massaging and overlapping to make it feel fast, hear everything, and and not feel like it's just bouncing around. But we do everything we can, even in these special one-ers. We have a lot of little editing digital tricks sometimes. We don't really like to explain, but we can do a little something here and there to nudge people. Just magic. So we do everything we can to make it fast but smooth.
Tim, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes to us packaged well, I would say. Like, you know, on set, I think, you know, Amy and Dan are really cracking the whip to keep the pace up with the actors, and the camera department. Everybody, you know, has figured out, you know, the kind of clip the show needs to run at. So we get it. It's already going at, you know, 75 miles an hour when we get it, and we have to crank it up to, you know, 85. But it's, you know, it just, as Kate said, it's a lot of just figuring out how to increase the pace without making it feel cutty, which is often at odds. Those two things are at odds with each other. So it's a little bit tricky, but it's a fun challenge.
And Ron, working with the sound too, how does that go for you?
Well, I have to try to level it all out. Normal dialogue is a lot of ups and downs, and we can't allow anybody to not hear a word. So it's a constant manipulation of vowels and consonants. And, you know, if you looked at my mix, it's more of an edit a lot of times of just seeing what volume I'm doing just to get a word up. It's kind of like mixing Gatling guns for hours.
So the next, sorry.
No, I was just going to jump in on what Kate
okay.
said. We were told just same thing you were told, that when we turned in our songs, she's like, great, this is the one, just faster. Everyone was like, just put the tempo up a little bit. Okay, great.
I think that's a great t-shirt for next year.
Faster.
Yeah.
The next question is for Donna. What's your process in creating and coordinating the costumes, having so many characters to deal with? Where do you start?
Well, you know, I usually begin, obviously, the script, but the script comes a bit late sometimes, or just right before. So it really begins with the palette and sort of creating the world, trying to find the sort of individuality in the world. So it begins with, I think it begins with color for me, and from color, then it goes into sort of massive amount of research, and then with the research, we spend a lot of time looking for the fabrics. I mean, we get hundreds and hundreds of swatches, just to find the pink or the purple, or, it's pretty detailed and pretty specific. And then from there, we then go, to building like a muslin for the actor. And then we have a fitting. And actually, Rachel is extremely good at giving us a fitting for really every costume. So it's a long process, but I think it begins in the world of color and in the world of fabric. And then it becomes reality after that.
When you, just to add on to the question too, though, when you're dealing with a scene like at the USO show where there's 1,000 extras on the set, how do you balance that? What do you do?
Well, that was a little bit of a nightmare, I must say. But, basically you set up fitters and you have teams of people. And I think if you keep your palettes clear and simple, and if you have very careful instructions that you give the fitters, and really participate in that, then everyone is it's all about communication. And people know what it is you want. And then everyone is working towards this same goal. I mean, I've done quite a few large things. I did John Adams, and I've done some very big series. So, I always feel like I'm fighting a war, like we're in battle now. And you sort of go into battle mode, and you just know you're going to try to win, so it's pretty intense, though. It's a very, very intense process, especially for us, because we don't have really a lot of time from the moment we know exactly what we have to do.
The next question, how long does it take to put together a scene like the musical, the Lenny Bruce scene in Miami? From the production design, the costumes, the music, all of that.
Which scene in Miami?
Well, this is from the Q&A, so I'm not sure which scene they're talking about. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Probably the Miami After Dark scene.
Well, it really begins with Bill. I mean, ultimately. Doesn't it, Bill?
We probably need the most lead time sometimes, but we also are often sort of jammed into a few days of getting things ready. But at some point, it's what we're all accustomed to, so we kind of don't panic. We just put our heads down and do the work. But yeah, the sets have to be scouted in advance. Then we have to determine what needs to be done at the various locations, because rarely do we walk in and just shoot something as it is. In the case of the Miami After Dark, there were just walls and walls of glass, and they would have been big mirrors at night. So we added curtains, which the house had originally had. So we had to have all of those made. And it's kind of similar, I think, in every department, pretty much. It's funny, we were talking about the size of the scripts. 50 minutes would often, you could kind of assume, would be a 50-page script. And Amy was turning out these 80-page scripts and 85-page scripts. And at some point when I was whining to her about how much we had to do in this short period of time, she said, well, but my scripts don't time out. They time out faster than other scripts. And I said, that may be true, but I still have to prepare an 85-page script. We still have to build the sets for 85 pages. I don't care how fast they talk. So for us, that's, it's a lot of work to be done in a short period of time. That's all.
Julie would like to know, for those of you that came from the theater world, what are some of the biggest differences between working in theater and working on a show like Maisel?
I'll answer that quickly, and then I don't know, Bill. For me personally, there's not a lot of difference, because I'm always in a theatrical mode of mind. I feel like in a lot of ways, because everything is quick, it really has to have a theatrical punch to it. So, I mean, you have more time in theater, but like the sensibility is very similar to a musical. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure Marguerite and Bill or everyone else agrees. It really is like working on a musical to a degree.
Absolutely.
Well, I also think there's an assumption sometimes that there's less illusion in film and television or film and than there is in the theater, but that's really not true. There's a lot of illusion in what we do. We build a lot of things physically and very realistically, but sometimes things look realistic when truth is they're not. But so I agree with Donna. It's actually pretty similar. Different time frame, but yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think for us, Tom, right, you wouldn't say, we often talk about this. For us, it's the time frame that's different. So, you know, we write theater pieces and we may spend 2, 3, 4 years working on something. And in the case of Maisel, we were called, you know, Amy called us on the end of February to write these songs. And the beginning of April, we were on set. You know, I mean, it's just very, very fast. And in that time, we went in and recorded 3 songs in the studio. And then, you know, Marguerite had already choreographed, as I mentioned, like before I'd even pressed send, I feel like it was choreographed. So it was, you know, to me, and also the other thing is that what you don't get in time, you do get made up for in resources. So normally in theater, I think Tom and I are used to working with like a triangle and a tambourine and, you know, a rolly chair, and that's all we get, you know. And the other, at Maisel, we were so lucky to come in, and it's not, you know, do you want strings? It's how many strings do you need to make that sound the way it needs to sound? And I think that is something that is different. You have to go faster, but they'll also give you a little bit more resources to get it done.
Well, I think the work is a little more spontaneous too. I mean, it's just, you know, you just have to trust your instincts and move quickly. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but there's always another episode if it doesn't work. But, you know, I've sometimes gone to a Broadway show and seen some wonderful set on stage. And I have enough experience in the theater to know all of the different meetings and presenting the model and the tech rehearsals and then this and then that. And I'll look at it sometimes and think, I'd have to have that ready on Thursday. You know, and it's just the nature of the work. So, but very similar. I think the process is very similar.
I think this question is probably for Marguerite. Steve would like to know, how hard was it for Rachel to kick the ball in the swimming pool?
Tell him, Marguerite.
Oh, well, actually, nothing is hard for Rachel.
Good answer.
Always blows my mind, but I think there was a little judging of how on the ball. Was that from like special effects?
Visual effects, yes.
Yeah, the ball was totally CGI.
Yeah. There was no ball.
Yeah, there was no ball.
Actually.
Which is just a testament to Rachel. Because she made it look, she gave it weight.
Yeah, the dancers who fell over, yeah.
Yeah, no, she had to mime that. And can I give a shout out to someone who's not here, Leslie Robson Foster.
I was
VFX
just going to do the same thing. She's great, yeah.
Yeah,
so
she's our visual effects supervisor, yeah.
And there's a deep team, and they work with us very closely. So anything that isn't there that should be there, or something that's there and shouldn't be there, you know, she's there to fix it and make it work. Transitions that we can't figure out, she'll find a way to make them work. And so we can't do what we do really without her. And she's got such a good eye, and she makes it look invisible, which is why you don't even know.
Yes, her work is so organic. It's not showy. And sometimes visual effects are, and they never work as well, in my opinion, when it's sort of like, here we are, you know, with this big visual effects shot. And Leslie's stuff is just fits right in. She's great. I work with her quite a lot, so.
Well, of course, the one question everybody wants to know in the time of quarantine is season 4 coming anytime soon?
We're not allowed to talk about that.
Eventually.
It will come.
There will be a season 4. Okay.
Yes, Amazon has announced it, but the truth is, we don't know.
Yeah. Nobody really knows much of anything these days, do we?
But Bill, we're beginning to do prep and things. So, you know.
We always try to get ahead on things as much as we can on
Exactly.
every season. But yes, Amazon's
In our heads. It's definitely in our heads.
Amazon's committed to a season 4 from what I hear, and I think that's been announced. So.
Yeah.
Well, when it eventually happens, we will all be very excited to see it. Thank you all so much. That wraps up our time today. We're so glad to have had you all here to join us. Thank everybody who's been watching this. And congratulations again on your Emmy nominations and all of your hard work. It's really been an amazing season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Nice
much.
to be here.